Hello and welcome to our Christmas edition of AXSChat. We're just recording a short little message today to wish everyone that's part of our community a happy Christmas. We hope that you're going to have a safe, restful and enjoyable festive season. And we really wanted to say thank you to you all for being part of our community, whether you're taking part in the Twitter chats, you're part of our community of guests that have come on and shared your wisdom with us, or very close to our hearts, the people that support us like Barclays Access, MyClearText and Microlink that keep the show on air. So from me, it's happy Christmas 2020. Looking forward to a better year in 2021.
So true, so true. So happy holidays, everybody. We've it's been a very interesting year in 2020, and I think the world has woke up to the reality that we've been talking about a long time that people need access. People need access, and before we always the people with disabilities weren't included, and were having to stay at home, and then the rest of the world joined us. So I think that we learned a lot. It was a hard year. I don't think I've ever looked more forward to a new year than I do this year. I am looking forward to having 2020 in my rearview mirror. But at the same time, I'm so glad that we walked it, because I think society's learned a lot about what's wrong, where the opportunities are, where the gaps, that people are living unequal lives, often due to things that are beyond their control. So I think now a lot has been revealed, and we now need to look and see, how do we really make the world work better for more people? So I'm excited about that. Antonio, let me turn it over to you.
Thank you, Deborah. Of course, I definitely agree with you. We all learn how to make the world better for better people, and the needs, the things that we need to work today, and to go along with our lives at work, particularly for those who can work from home. It proves that this is achievable. There's not such a thing. Oh, it's not possible to work from home. It's perfectly possible under certain conditions. So I think even I definitely miss some of the events that I have the opportunity to cover. I really like to go to those events. I don't particularly like to no no be doing events like the one that we are doing now. It works in some cases, but it doesn't work for absolutely everything. So I'm very hopeful that that we can at least get back part of some of the things that we had in the past, and we can meet people again in 2021, and maybe if I'm lucky enough to meet person in person some of the members of our community.
I agree. And how do y'all think we are going to do this moving forward as far as conferences? I've been pondering that a lot myself, because, we were having these conferences that had hundreds of thousands of people at them. And maybe now that seems unwise. But and I know that they actually have had some conferences in China, over the last few months with success. But what do you think? What do you think is going to happen?
Ooh, well, I think there's going to be a desire to go and do some physical stuff. I think we're going to end up with blended conferences, and I think that finding the right blend is going to take a while, because what you want to do when you're physically at a conference is very different to what you want to do when you are, watching something. And actually, what I've seen is that there's been a lot of webinars and you're observing things rather than participating. And what I found was that I started observing less as the year got on, and the number of these conferences just exploded.
Right.
I'm learning less, because actually what's happening is I'm only going to the ones where I'm speaking, and I actually am sick of hearing my own voice and would like to go back to where we can have discussions and everything else. So I think there'll be a mixture. I think that the time of flying or traveling for a 1 hour face-to-face meeting is past.
I agree.
For longer things, whether you're meeting more people, you're doing something deeper and richer, then I think we will still continue to convene in person. And I look forward to that. Actually, I miss the sort of informality, the after event stuff, the sort of the not the speeches, the sort of the conversations you have in corridors. That's where the real spark is, and so I'm looking forward to eventually some of that happening again, but recognize that at the same time, remote conferences have enabled lots more people to participate, and some people that would never be able to travel have been able to participate in things that wasn't possible before. So we have to find that balance. We can't just go back to the exclusive little bubble of traveling for the privileged few.
Oh, that's some really, really good points you brought up, especially about people not being able to participate. So, Antonio, what do you think?
Well, I have the feeling that it's almost like all of us have a kind of a live video feed, and then everyone taps into each other, and we are all in this kind of video feeds all the time. It's extremely overwhelming in terms of consuming all this information. And I'm the type of person that when goes to events, I particularly like not to go to the stages and listening. I like to go and network and talk with people, go around, grab my phone and interview one person here, one person there, and I'm not able to do that in this kind of format. At the same time, we have seen a good number of startups and established companies trying to enter on this market of video to create their own platforms and ecosystems. And to be fair, things are not particularly positive on the area of inclusion. Some of the most popular platforms being used don't allow built-in captions. It's very difficult to make an event accessible. And most of them, I can count with my fingers the number of platforms, like Zoom, who allow some minimum levels of accessibility. All others are terrible. And then as they want to somehow emulate networking, because some of these platforms, they want to find ways where the participants can network with each other outside the live feed. Those platforms, that network is completely inaccessible. And what I found interesting as well is that when you go to the websites of the owners of those platforms, and in some cases you are able to rate and ask for a new service or ask for a new feature, and they still believe that making the platform accessible should be rank side by side and compete with someone that wants an emoji, and it's quite absurd to see that, because they should just make the platforms accessible by default. So that's how I see. So it's becoming competitive, but not as inclusive as should be. So hopefully, in the new year, we'll return to a kind of a hybrid model where you have live events, physical events, allowing more people to participate from their homes. But that's how I see things going.
I agree. And it's amazing that, I'm sitting here looking at the Zoom recording, the bottom, and they have closed captioning. And I love that Google Chat, they have automatic Google Chat, which is pretty accurate. It's very accurate. And so I like that they understand now this is a competitive thing that they've got to do. That's what came out of COVID, because how many years have we been saying this? But then they got it. They also got, because I remember there was one, I'm like you guys, I've been on so many of these, and there was one, and the person had a very thick accent, and most of the audience wasn't as familiar with that accent. And somebody said, well, turn on the captions. And so I like that society is realizing the value that accessibility gives to all of us. I think society learned a lot about accessibility this year. I think they finally got what we've been saying. Not, oh, please include us, but Well, no, this is really valuable. And for when you make things accessible, everybody's going to be able to do a better job. I think this is also the year that we realize that people have lives outside work. And I know that's such a stupid thing to say, but don't you think this is the year that corporations realize that we're caregivers and there's a lot going on in our lives, and you don't always, why do we always have to go to the office? You don't need to go to the office all the time. It's not good for our traffic and our roads and our planet. But I think we learned a lot. I kept thinking about, this was years ago, and I can't remember her name, but the CEO, the female CEO of Yahoo, who a few years ago, not that long
Marissa
ago.
Mayer. Yes.
Okay, right. Yeah. And she said that nobody could telework anymore. And it's like, I just was thinking about her often as the entire world began to telework. And I also think and I liked that Twitter showed leadership and just said everybody is, from now on doing it. But I'm hoping some of these corporations will realize people don't always have to be in the office right beside each other. And assuming that you got to see them in the office to know if they're working. That's a really bad way of managing things. So I think there's the opportunity too to take a look at these gigantic campuses that have been built and maybe rethink, how can we support, housing for homeless people, for veterans, for, people that get in trouble. I think there's an opportunity to rethink a lot that we're doing all over the world. And I think and I'm hopeful about that. But what I don't want to do is I don't want us just to think that we need to go back to the normal, because the normal wasn't working for a lot of people. The normal was only working for a very, very small part of society. And I don't want to do that anymore. So I am hopeful. And I'm hopeful today on my birthday. So 1 week before
Yay.
Christmas. So yay, we got to find things to celebrate. Don't you think we have to find things to celebrate? So before we get off, I think we should talk just a little bit about how we're going to celebrate. So Antonio, you're on my screen. So how are you going to celebrate with your family? I assume you're not in Ireland, that you're in Portugal. And I don't know that you've been in Ireland this year, even though you live in both countries.
I was in Ireland this year.
Or in the early part of the year.
Yes. I would just stay at home. I don't have any plans to visit anyone. Even if they are 20 minutes from my house, I don't have any plans to go there at all. So we might go there to drop some stuff at the door and we tell them it's there and we will leave, but we don't have any plans to have all the family together. We are just staying, the three of us and the Christmas tree, and and then we'll meet our family members over a system like this, over a phone call, and that's how we'll be doing it.
You know what I keep thinking, and this is probably because I have two very, very vulnerable family members that we don't want to get COVID-19. We don't want Sarah with Down syndrome to get COVID-19. We don't want my husband with dementia, because that's already ripping apart his brain right now. So, and I thought, don't be careless, Deborah, don't be careless. It's too close. The UK already has a vaccine. They're already vaccinating people in the US too. I was talking to a friend yesterday, and she said her sister, who is a healthcare worker, got the vaccination yesterday in the States. So, and it will be sad, the last people that get COVID when we actually have a vaccine. And I know people are nervous about the vaccine, but my family is going to take the vaccine because I need to protect my daughter and my husband. And also I want to move around in society. I've been invited to speak to attend an event in Shanghai in May. I'd sort of like to go. I don't know if I will be able to go, because I assume we should do these vaccines according to priorities. And I'm not as much of a priority as somebody like my daughter or my husband. So, and since we didn't order enough, whoops. And whatever, I don't even care about stuff like that, but I just think about that sometimes. So Neil, and I'll just go ahead and talk while I am talking, but we're doing the same thing. And today is my birthday. And so my son and his fiance are going to come and see me. I have not seen them. I have seen them, but I see them in the car and we've been really careful. And so they're going to come over today, but it's going to be the same thing. We're going to be outside, even though it's chilly here. We're going to have on face masks. My daughter's coming, but I'm already around her a lot because I see her a couple of times a week, but we're being very thoughtful about our bubble because I think you really have to be. And then same as you, we're just going to be very quiet. I won't see my son on Christmas. It'll just be my husband, my daughter, and myself. So you just have to still be careful. I mean, we have to be careful. How about you, Neil?
So same, we're not seeing my parents. We're going to, have a family video conference on Christmas Day, share a few drinks over, the ether, and the rest of the time we're just going to relax at home. I'm going to take the opportunity to, unplug a little.
Yes, really unplug, really unplug.
Watch some junk TV, go for some walks, and recharge the batteries, because I think that 2021 there's a load of stuff planned to happen that I think is going to really move the dial on accessibility and inclusion. So I'm looking forward to it. So thank you, everyone. Happy holidays. See you on the other side.
Thanks, everyone.